Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Mansing. Topping our newscast, Juan Luis Hospital CEO Dr. Kendall Griffith appeared before senators last week, surrounded by the hospital's leadership. But no new information came out of Thursday's meeting about the funding the changes needed to keep the hospital's doors open. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Juan Luis officials are trying to stay transparent about their efforts to reform the St. Croix Hospital, but the details of when and where they'll get the funding to make improvements are still a mystery. Juan Luis CEO Dr. Kendall Griffith testified before senators Thursday.
We need to ask ourselves, what would have JFL's decertification meant to the United States Virgin Islands?
During that meeting, he reiterated his request for $10 million to make the necessary upgrades to avoid decertification by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS. He also testified that they were only days away from completing the systems improvement agreement requested by CMS. Hospital officials continue to stress that they're in talks with the government's leadership, but so far both groups have remained mum on just where the money will come from to fund the changes. One concerned resident who's been calling for lawmakers to address the funding wants senators to consider the Lonesome Dove settlement agreement that's been in receivership for the VI.
Our hospital is a crucial need, seeing our economy going through recession, depression, even bankruptcy, on the brink of bankruptcy. But when we come in talking about our health and our hospital, I think it's so important.
With the appropriation of the FY15 budget for the hospital, I would certainly request that the governor look at doing a forward allotment to the hospital, at least funding them from the annual appropriation right now, and at least within the next month, within the next 6 weeks, we can seriously look at how we're going to reimburse the allotment.
Senators have said that money is earmarked for the retirement system, but other lawmakers have been looking at it for other needs. The St. Croix farmer and activist is worried that after November's general election, the hospital's critical needs may not be so urgent. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Now, hospital officials say they plan to provide an update on their progress with CMS later this week. The Commissioner of Education is apologizing for local teachers not being paid for summer work. Donna Fred Gregory said in a statement Friday that she was disappointed after she learned on the same day that St. Croix educators were not paid for teaching during the summer months. St. Croix Superintendent Gary Malloy is currently on leave, but Commissioner Fred Gregory said she's directed the St. Croix deputy superintendents to make sure the teachers who have approved per diems and timesheets be paid by the next pay period. The affected teachers will also get letters advising them of the situation. Fred Gregory said she sincerely regrets the situation. Students and staff in other education news returned to Alexander Henderson School Monday after a long weekend. The school was closed early Friday morning after vandals broke in and damaged several classrooms. There was fiberglass on the floors of at least 10 rooms where the suspects went through the ceiling. Officials say contractors worked through the weekend to clean and prepare the school for the students' return. There's no word yet on what was taken and if there are any leads on possible suspects. Candidate Mona Barnes, senatorial candidates Diane Capehart, Terrence Positive Nelson, those are just a few who are ready to answer some questions at the Respect My Vote Voters Forum at the 2+2 Restaurant and Lounge. It begins at 7:30 p.m. this evening. Organizers say it is a forum in which you can ask the pertinent questions, so you have some time to head down there. In crime reports, a 22-year-old man is dead after a shooting outside a nightclub on Sunday. Police say they were called to the scene around the Blitz nightclub on Noragata around 4 in the morning. Officers were notified that the victim, who has been identified as Shakoy Benjamin, was taken by private car to the hospital. He was pronounced dead by medical staff, and officials say he was shot at least once. An 18-year-old female was also injured.
The female victim told police that she was outside the club when shots were fired, and she ducked behind a parked vehicle. And when she realized that she was shot, she ran back into the club seeking assistance. She was taken by ambulance to the Schneider Regional Medical Center for treatment of gunshot injuries to her right arm and a graze to her left thigh.
In other news, prices at the pumps are staying the same this week for the 7th week in a row. Retail gas station owners are still paying a wholesale rate of $3.54 for regular at Hovenza's rack. The cost for premium is $3.74 and retailers will pay $3.46 for diesel. Now those rates include the 14 cents tax Hovenza collects for the government. Now, while residents of several states are seeing gas prices falling to the lowest levels in years, Senator Tregenza Roach said he is concerned that Virgin Island consumers are not seeing any relief and called on Hovenza officials to explain its pricing. He said his office checked on the latest Hovenza rack rates and found that rate to be $3.40 for the regular grade of fuel and $3.60 for premium, calculated without addition of the 14 cents tax assessed per gallon by the VI government. It would appear at first blush, he says, that Hovenza is not passing on the benefits of lower rates. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Turn our attention overseas. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they're revising new protocols for healthcare workers caring for Ebola patients. New CDC guidelines are expected to include full body suits, known as personal protective equipment, with hoods that go over the neck. In other news, Carnival Cruise Lines say a Texas-based cruise ship carrying a Dallas healthcare worker who is being monitored for signs of Ebola returned to port early Sunday. Officials said the woman poses no risk because she has shown no signs of illness for 19 days and has voluntarily self-quarantined herself on the cruise ship. Well, keeping our eye on the economy, the new Apple Pay service launched today nationwide. The digital wallet technology allows iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus users to swipe and pay with their phones at more than 250,000 retail stores. The digital payment system can also be used for goods sold through thousands of websites. 3 major credit card companies and hundreds of banks have all signed on to that service. Here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. Everything up: the Dow, Nasdaq, S&P, the Dow 19, Nasdaq 57, S&P 17. Coming up on News 2, we've got highlights from World Food Day, Oktoberfest, and Hispanic Heritage Recognition. Also, leaders gather to celebrate the ties that bind the people of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. That's coming up. There was a walking tour and cultural exhibitions. The atmosphere was one in which the red carpet was rolled out for family. The annual USVI BVI Friendship Day weekend celebration was held in downtown St. Thomas on Saturday. Leaders of the 2 territories gathered to celebrate the ties that bind the people of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. A delegation from the British Virgin Islands were special guests as leaders of 2 territories gathered on St. Thomas to celebrate the ties that bind the people of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands.
And it is one event, in addition to, as the Premier said, the Inter-Virgin Islands Council, where those within our government that throughout the year debate issues that may keep us apart, but on this particular day, on a day of friendship, everyone is here.
In this case, it is quite remarkable. We're talking much more than cousins. We're talking aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces, sisters, brothers, and every conversation, as I just saw, opens with, where are you from? Who are you related to? This is one big community.
Great working relationship back and forth, which I think can only continue to grow. And will continue to grow partly because of this celebration, and also partly because of the Inter-Virgin Islands Council, which has been established many years ago, which continues, I think, which is going from strength to strength, and has committees that help us iron out all the problems that may exist and help to promote the friendship.
This year's theme, Celebrate the Ties That Bind Us. And the celebration included everything at the Emancipation Garden. Vendors selling fruits and vegetables, arts and crafts, maypole, basket weaving, brew making, and traditional desserts. Governor DeYoung said the bond between the British Virgin Islands and the United States Virgin Islands is undeniably strong and beneficial to both. This kinship is based on history, heritage, proximity, economic relationships, and common values. National School Bus Safety Week starts today and ends Friday in the St. Croix School District. Now, the message, "At my stop, you stop," is to inform the public to stop when school buses extend their stop signs and flash their red lights. Students are expected to follow all safety rules during this week and the rest of the school year, of course. According to the Department of Education, bus services will be stopped at the first sign of dangerous behavior. Parents are asked to get involved and speak to their students about safety. Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Rodney Carrad Sr. is also joining with the Department of Education in observing National School Bus Safety Week. He says the theme is very relevant due to the fact that he has received reports over the years of motor vehicle operators not stopping when a school bus stops, extending its stop sign, and activates its flashing lights. Bus drivers and school crossing guards are instructed to report all vehicles that speed around stopped school buses when they are discharging passengers. Commissioner Carrad also reminds the motoring public to observe all posted road signs, especially those instructing drivers to slow down in a school zone. According to VI law, when school is in session, the speed limit in a school zone is 20 miles per hour, even when students are not present. When children are present, the speed limit reduces to 10 miles per hour. The Hispanic Heritage Celebration wrapped up last week, and St. Mary's Catholic School closed out the observation with a multicultural festival Friday evening. The night began with a student presentation of more than 15 national flags from different countries. The St. Mary's students also had a number of different performances that included cultural dances, songs and prose, and a piano recital. The event also featured performances by Alfredo Andrews elementary students and the VI Dominican ballet dancers. School officials called it a celebration of the diversity of culture and heritage at St. Mary's. Well, this year, eggplants, passion fruits, and beef, they were the highlighted agricultural products at UVI's World Food Day event. On Sunday, hundreds of people showed up at the annual event that had a number of activities. There was a food vendors court, farmers market, and demonstrations. A big draw was the Youth Super Chef competition. Those students were challenged using the event's featured items in several dishes.
We structured our workshops and our demonstrations around those three agricultural products. And I must say that the youngsters from the schools in our 4-H Youth Super Chef competition, they have done a fantastic job. We have a lot of people in the world that are malnourished, don't have enough to eat. And so this is a way of getting the community to give back. And so in our small way on St. Croix at the university, we try to put on an activity, make it educational, fun, and then also ask for you to bring a non-perishable item so that we could give to our food banks.
That looked like a lot of fun. Now, the 38th annual October Sunday also did not disappoint. The event drew many, especially those who enjoy folk music. The event is a fundraiser for the Family Resource Center. This year, they honored Polly Watts and friends. They are usually the organizers of the events. Now, many dance to the sounds of guitars, drums, and harmonicas. Local musicians such as Paul Dirks, Tommy August, and the Rum Syndicate, Ivana Udorken High School Jazz Ensemble, and more.
This particular event, a lot of bands volunteered their time. We have a committee of 10 to 13 people that helped out, and several companies that volunteered and or donated money, all for Family Resource Center. So it's hundreds of people that helped to make this happen today, so we're very happy.
Now, here is something to mark on your calendar: the annual Antilles School Fall Festival that will be held on October 25th from 4 to 8 p.m. The festival will feature the usual Great Pumpkin Patch, with jack-o'-lantern style pumpkins for sale. You can walk around and choose your own. There will be a carnival-like atmosphere of games, foods, crafts, and fun for all ages. Flip Switch Band will keep everyone in a festive mood. The annual event usually draws many vendors as well as participants. Again, that's this Saturday at the school grounds from 4 to 8 p.m. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.